Hello and welcome, my name is Shadow Retro and today I am here talking about the new Warframe, showing you all what his kit is about, what my build is for him today, and also a review of his kit at the end of the video. So first of all, who is this new Warframe and what are they all about? Well, the new Warframe is Cyte-09, or Quincy as he is known in the Helvetia Mall, related to the new update as a member of one of the Hex. He is a weapon platform themed Warframe based all around sniper rifles, well mostly, though his kit does obviously work with other weapons as well, primarily focusing on primary and secondary attacks. He honestly has a really cool kit and he's really fun to play around with, so let's get right into it. Quincy's passive will build up a critical chance buff applied to weak shot hits for every weak shot kill you get. For every weak shot kill you will get 1% added to this buff, capping out at a 300% crit chance buff, which is additive with mods for your weak shot hits. So it does take 300 weak shot kills to get to this, but this buff will last for the entire mission. Cyte-09's first ability will have him place down a radar, which will then be able to scan enemies within a conal direction in front of it. These scan enemies will have their headshots highlighted, and it will give you two buffs. It will give you a weak spot multiplier, and it will also give you a punch through buff, allowing you to shoot through walls. Quincy's second ability is a quite unique damage buff that he can give to all primary and secondary weapons. If you hold down the ability, you will be given a gear wheel which will let you choose between any of the 10 elemental damage types, including one random gear wheel at the bottom. This will allow you to pick which element you want. If you pick the element, it will then summon 3 ammo packs. These ammo packs will not only completely reload your magazine, but it will also give you a damage buff to your weapon until you reload your weapon. In addition to this, the elemental damage buff that it gives works very similar to Valence Fusion. This means that it will stack, it will mix with any modded element you have, but it also force proc the element that it gives you. For example, this weapon does viral, and I gave myself cold. It won't do cold damage, it will do viral damage, but it will still force proc the cold status effect, as you can see on this enemy right here. Quincy's third ability will make him jump invisible for a set duration. Killing enemies with weak spot kills will increase the duration of this ability with a set duration cap. If this ability happens to run out of duration, however, you will be penalized with a 60-second cooldown, which doesn't scale with mods. However, the cooldown does start when you activate the ability, working very similar to the way Gyro's third ability works. Meaning, if you remain in this ability for long enough by increasing its duration by getting headshot kills, you'll never have to worry about the cooldown, even if the ability does end up running out of duration, because the cooldown would have already worn off. Additionally, getting headshot kills will also heal Quincy's health. And finally, Cyte-09's fourth ability is the Exalted Sniper Rifle Neutralizer. The Exalted Sniper Rifle Neutralizer has quite high stats, with a 45 base crit chance and a 3 times base crit multiplier. In addition to this, its zoom effects will increase its crit damage. With a 2.5 zoom, its crit damage will be increased by 40%. 4 times zoom will give it a crit damage buff of 60%, and an 8 times zoom, which is this max zoom, it will give it a crit damage buff of 80%. Also, getting headshot hits with this ability, with the neutralizer, will make it create ricochet bullets that will spread between enemies like so. Additionally, the ricochet bullets will also build up the sniper rifle's combo counter. If you don't know, sniper rifles do have a combo counter which is a final damage buff that they receive. While unscoped, using the alt fire will allow you to send out a grenade which will force proc 10 cold status effects, freezing enemies that get hit with the grenade's effect. The ability does not consume energy over time, but instead it will consume energy each time you shoot it, very similar to the way Artemis bow works, which is Ivara's Exalted Bow. So that's his kit. Now let's talk about the build. So with this build, we are using a standard build for him, utilizing all of his abilities to make use of his sniper rifle. We get the crit chance buff for our weak shot hits from our passive. We get the extra weak spot damage from our first, as well as the punch through. We get the extra elemental damage and the force proc from our second ability, the stealth from our third, and obviously neutralizer itself giving us the sniper rifle, which does a lot of damage. Looking at the setup for Cyte-09 himself, we are using the new aura mod, Worthy Camaraderie, which you get from the new Warframe 1999 area. This aura mod will give every member in your squad 75% weak point critical chance, which is obviously additive with all your auto crit chance buffs. We are also using another new item from this update, which is Arcane Crepuscular. I definitely didn't say that right. What Arcane Crepuscular does is at max rank, it will increase your ability strength by 30% and give you a 3 times final critical multiplier just for being invisible. I only have a unranked version right now, so I'm only getting the 5% ability strength and a 1 times final critical multiplier, but we definitely want to be maxing this out to get that extra 30% strength and the 3 times final critical multiplier. We do have Rolling Guard just in case we are inflicted with status effects, even because while we're invisible, enemies won't be able to target us, but we can still be hit with the off flame, X-Miss or something like that. So Rolling Guard will just give us the extra bit alive, as we don't have any other form of survivability on this build, because we're relying entirely on our invisibility. So if we are hit with the status effect, that could be quite bad for us. Next, we do have Blind Rage, Augur Secrets, and Umbral Intensify, maxing out, giving us as much power strength as we can. As power strength is going to increase the weak spot damage we get from our first, increase the elemental damage we get from our second, and increase the overall damage that Neutralizer does as a whole. We are running Arcane Primed Continuity as well as Constitution just to increase our duration. We don't really need duration on Cyte-09, but I did opt to have a bit more duration on him, as it gives me a bit more breathing room with Evade, his third ability, before he needs to get weak spot kills, because if I don't get a weak spot kill and let the ability die out, I will be slapped with that cooldown. And because we are using the Arcane that gives us that final crit damage, that ability strength when invisible, we do want to activate Evade first in our damage rotation before activating any of our other abilities. That way all of our other abilities will be buffed from the extra ability strength we will get from Arcane Crepuscular, or however you say it. And then lastly, I did put on Streamline just to offset the negative effect from Blind Rage that tiny bit, and we do have Arcane Energize as well for the energy economy, as well as Prime Flow. For the Neutralizer build, it is a raw damage setup. I was going up against Orokin, so I was using the Primed Bane of Orokin, and I was using Viral as Orokin are weak to Viral. With the element that you would get from your second ability, I would recommend using Corrosive against any armored unit, because the weapon will end up force proccing Corrosive, which then armor strips enemies, especially against Orokin, since I'm already doing Viral anyway. If you're doing good near, you would mod for Corrosive, so you could do Viral instead, because Viral will increase your damage against health as well, so that's also a very good status effect to be applied. And against shielded enemies like Corpus, then I would recommend getting Magnetic from your second ability. We do have Critical Delay and Vital Sense for our crit chance and our crit damage. We do have Galvanized Chamber for our multi-shot, and I am running Viral Acceleration to increase its fire rate, as its fire rate at base is a bit slow. We do have Serration on this build for our base damage, however there was a new mod added to this game. I don't know exactly what its name is, it's something Serration. Effectively, the way it works is it will give your weapon, I think it's around 330% at max rank base damage, as long as you are invisible. Unfortunately, I do not have this mod yet. I haven't managed to get it dropped from the new enemies, but obviously this weapon will want that mod instead of Serration, and when I do get that mod, I will be using it instead of Serration, as it is a much larger damage buff, and all we need to do is be invisible, which is perfectly easy because we'll just make use of our third ability. For our companion, we are using Worm for the status negation. Because of this, you could definitely argue that you wouldn't need primed Rolling Guard, because Worm should negate any status effects that come your way. But honestly, Rolling Guard is a bit of a flex slot, so you could replace it with something else you need. I just didn't really need anything else added to the build, and I figured I may as well add it just for that extra bit of survivability just in case. But the way Worm will give us status immunity or status negation is through this ability right here, Negate, which will make Worm negate one status effect that is applied to us with a 5-second cooldown, and that cooldown is reduced by Manifold Bond, as Manifold Bond will reduce the cooldown of our preset mods by 3 seconds each time we get kill an enemy with 3 or more status effects. Since Deconstruct will increase the chance of health orbs drops, not necessarily that useful with this setup, but this is more useful for some other setups I have using Worm. Guardian as well will give us some extra survivability, as Guardian works where if our health is fully depleted, as long as Guardian is off cooldown, it will fully restore our shields. I said health fully depleted, I meant if our shields are fully depleted, sorry. Assault mode to make the companion actually attack enemies. This won't really work for this setup because when we're invisible, so will Worm be, and Worm won't attack enemies when it's invisible. However, I still have assault mode anyway for other setups with Worm. The general survivability of the companion, and of course vacuum as a must-have mod. Since our companion won't be able to attack enemies, as it won't be able to do that when we're invisible, the companion weapon doesn't matter because we won't be making use of it anyway. For the other weapons, simply just go for utility. I would recommend using Amalgam Restoration for the movement speed, Amalgam Barrel Diffusion on your secondary for the barrel, for the rolling speed, and I also am running Predators for the melee for the sprint speed and slide from this evolution, and the Parkour Velocity from this evolution. For the focus score, you could also run whatever you want. I just opted for Xenorex so I can pop Wellspring at the start of the mission to give me enough energy in order to start up my damage rotation. Bazarin you could use for some grouping or extra survivability, Yunaru for that knockback resistance and armor strip, and Matarai for the power strength and casting speed. And Naramon isn't useful because it's only useful for combo counter, melee, quick attack melee builds. Now that we've covered his kit and the build I have for him, let me do a quick review of him. He is extremely powerful, he's really powerful, he's capable of doing a lot of damage, not just with Neutralizer, but he's also a very good weapon platform with other weapons as well. Obviously he does get most out of snipers as his abilities are best catered towards them. For example, his second ability has a double effect for snipers. But he is still a very good weapon platform in general. He is very powerful. My one complaint I would have with this kit is really that he kind of prioritizes you aiming, which I'm not good at, and that is just a personal thing. I do think that a lot of people will probably have similar issues with him, and because this isn't really exactly the type of game that people play to aim. However, I don't think that is really enough to hold back the praises that he definitely deserves, because he is really good. And even with my terrible aiming, he's really fun to play and really fun to mess around with. So I would highly encourage him. I'm not sure if I would really give him S tier quite that high, but I would at least definitely give him A tier. He is very good, very powerful, and definitely a very welcome addition to the game. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe, and maybe leave some comment. Do feel free to leave a comment on any Warframe you would like me to make a build for. I'm happy to do that. And I've also already released a video covering the next changes that also have in this update, so do check that out if you're interested. And Trinity, I will be making a video next for this update. And until then, bye bye.